Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Social Intercourse. We're doing K-pop today. We're just going to jump right into it. We've got Vicky, as always, and Randy's not here today because she doesn't do K-pop. So it's okay. We've got Grace filling in for her. Grace is our guest today. And
Yes.
Grace and Vicky have something in common. They both went and lived in Korea, and they got to live out a lot of K-pop fantasy dreams while living in Korea. So
Well,
let's get into it. Let's talk about
the
it.
safe ones.
The same ones.
Okay. Well, do you want me to start first with my experience or?
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah,
Sure.
first of all, why did you go to Korea?
Well, it's ironic because I wasn't really into K-pop before I went to Korea. My trip to Korea is what created the my little relationship with it. I went to Korea because I'm half Korean and nobody in my immediate family besides my mother had been to Korea. So, for me before doing college and figuring out what I want to do for the rest of my life, I had to find some sort of self identity and cultural identity because especially growing up mixed in America, it's a very interesting path of life to navigate with just your identity and just how we fit into this melting pot, as we say. But I just wanted to go up there and also help the healing journey for my mom's side of the family. We needed to start that path after the pandemic because I feel like after everybody was stuck with themselves, we all had to come to a point where you had to look at yourself and figure out who am I? It was a lot of existential crisis, maybe ego deaths here and there for everybody, but I decided to be proactive with mine and just
I'm
go.
still healing.
Yeah, it was like a very healing trip for sure. So, but
So,
that's my entrance into K-pop was, I guess, me connecting with my culture and then ironically going to Seoul specifically instead of like a more rural part of Korea.
so you weren't really into K-pop before, but so Grace and I met in line at a concert
So great.
where, I mean, he's okay, it's DPRE and he's K-pop, but not like the
He is in
K-pop
his
that we
own
K-hop,
think.
realm.
K
Yeah,
hop. Yeah, he's not. Yeah, he's a little
yeah.
bit different.
But that's how we met. That's how we connected, and we hung out all night. So
Yeah,
we
it was
became
crazy. I
friends.
cannot believe I hung out with you the entire time because me and Nico went off, which was a mutual friend that we have. And
Mhm.
me and Nico were like having fun, like holding hands, just like dancing. But y'all were behind us the entire time. So I was like, I feel that is a shared memory.
Right. Yeah. So then you weren't really into it. Then you went to Korea and you got more into it because I mean K-pop's all around you. So
Well, I think a part of me connecting more with my culture was just through different medias as well. So my first introduction, I really feel like into K-pop was Psy, like when I was in the second or third grade, and my mom was like, "This is Korea," and my perception
this is Korea.
was I was so confused because I was like, "What? This is Korea?"
I mean, Psy is an extreme part of.
As
I
a
mean,
I
half of my
7-year-old,
love
career.
Psy.
this is my culture. I was like, "What?
Mm.
What is that supposed to
I
be?"
mean, speaking of Psy, so Vicky went to Korea and was there for 3 months. And didn't you go see Psy
I
while
saw
you were in
Psy,
Korea?
yeah, live. Yeah, at a festival, college festival. He was awesome. And it wasn't even because he's famous for doing these sort of water bomb festivals. Excuse
Ooh.
me. My voice is hoarse because I just got back from Vegas yesterday.
Partying.
And I'm a little bit hoarse. I haven't unpacked yet. I was at the Sphere where I saw you too, which is another, not K-pop, but another concert.
Ooh.
Awesome. That's
Um,
another awesome thing, though.
that's another story, but sorry. So I'm a little bit rough, so I apologize for my voice. But yeah, he's famous for doing like these water bomb festivals, which is like it's another sort of. I feel like we don't have that here. So is that more of a K-pop thing? You go
It
to
must
an
be.
outdoor concert and they just water gun you with these huge like fire hoses of water, and there's like water spraying everywhere. And but
It's
I
But it's
saw
amazing.
not
him
just
and it was
the,
pouring rain.
yeah, it's
Mm.
not just the crowd. They water bomb the artists too,
Yeah,
right?
it's on the stage.
Yeah.
Everyone gets wet, and yeah, I can't imagine doing that here. It seems like there'd be a lawsuit or something along the lines. They're like, I got sprayed in the face. I'm suing you. Anyway, yeah, I saw him and it was pouring rain. And he was just like, oh, this is my deal. Like, this is my jam. It's pouring rain. Like, we're all soaked. And it was just, I mean, if he is Korea, like, that's not a bad representation because he's just fun and he's, energetic and he's just like out there living his best life. And we were all having a great
I
time.
might
And
be wrong. I could be wrong because I'm wrong a lot of times. But the really famous song that he had that broke records, Gangnam Style, I believe he
Mhm.
was making fun of the rich in Korea. I
Good for
think that's what I
him.
heard.
Kind of, yeah. It's sort of a tongue in
Yeah,
cheek about these sort of Gangnam oppas
yeah.
that are like really annoying.
I
Yeah.
believe like the
They're
music
kind of
video and everything was kind of mocking the
tongue in
rich
cheek. Yeah.
lifestyle of Gangnam.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
I get it.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. But again, I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, people
I
correct
think
me,
I think
come
you're right,
after me.
Rach.
It's okay.
No, I think
So,
you're right. Honestly,
am I right?
being in
I
Seoul,
think
my
so.
my school was in Apgujeong, so I was constantly going to
Mhm.
the areas where the socioeconomic was like on a much bigger scale. That's like this is the like richest part of like Korea, it's Seoul, and I would see kids coming out of the subway with just like Fendi bags, like Christian Dior bags, and I was like, oh god, like you can really see the wealth gap in Korea. It's so prominent because the minute you get out of the radius of like Gangnam and Apgujeong, Shinsa, all of that, you just see where everybody else is living because Seoul is so tiny.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, and even
My
the subway
AI,
stop there is kind of
my,
it's
my
kind
AI
of
is telling me that Psy insists the song never intended to deliver any profound social commentary. He was just wanted to give people some few minutes of mindless fun and hilarity. So he never intended any kind of, that's
But
what
art is
I
AI
mean,
even
interpreted in
tells
all
me.
ways, like no matter what, I think your take on it is really great because I do think people, especially foreigners, do glamorize Korea. And also coming
mhm,
into my own culture, I had to realize that my mom growing up was living in the remnants of the Japanese occupation. So like there was so
mhm.
much poverty when my mom was growing up.
Hmm.
And so it's very weird because I'm so happy people are turning their heads to look more towards Korea, but we have to ground ourselves, because
Hmm. It's
Korea is
not everything that you see it to be. There's so many different layers.
It's
And
not a
totally
K-drama or a
no.
yeah,
good
it's not
kind
a
of
Oh,
K-drama.
K-drama.
It's
oh
more
And
like Parasite than
not everyone looks like a K-pop artist. So,
no.
right, right.
But beauty
wow.
standards are crazy though, especially in Seoul. My acne, when I got to Korea, I went on Accutane and was on it while I was in Korea, but it was definitely an interesting perspective because everybody has their own relationship with their own self-image. But Korea, it's just, people on the subway have their hair rollers and like no one cares. Like they got that in. They're doing their makeup on the subway. It's a completely different ballgame. Everyone's wearing makeup, males, like females, everybody just the whole 9 yards. So you would
I'm
definitely,
okay with that.
I
I
Yeah,
like
me
a
too.
man who can put a little makeup. Yeah, why not? Go for
If
it.
I got to
but
do it to look better, he should do it to look better. I don't. Why do I have to look at his ugly bare face if you don't have to look at mine? Like,
but
I like
people,
it.
the only thing that my like thing that I feel reserved about it is just they're in Korea. I met people of all different ages, and there's just this like insane root of insecurity, whether it be from like your
Mhm.
social status or how you physically look. I think Asia in general has that integrated into our like culture, but in Korea, especially in a city that's on the same scale as New York or London and Tokyo and all of that, you can see so many patterns socially within
Mhm.
this little area, because it's everywhere.
But where does the insecurity
Yeah,
come
and
from?
I mean,
Right.
like, it's their beauty standards. Everybody, when I was
Eh,
up there, wanted me to be paler, wanted me to have flawless skin. You're going to always feel that. And as foreigners, it's just everybody, the school that I went to while I was up there, it was everybody from different areas. Mostly you're the West, but you had people from
mhm.
Japan as well, just because it's so
mhm.
close. But everybody was feeling the same way. Like you will feel the pressures of society immensely, whether you want to or not. Especially when you're there for, I would say, over 2 or 3 months, you will feel that impact.
Because I'll tell you, since I was young and growing up, K-dramas and the artists, Korean singers, when I was really young, they didn't look like what they look like now.
It's so
Like
different.
you didn't have to have pale skin. You didn't have to have makeup on. You didn't have to look a certain way. But you did have to be a certain size. You did
Totally.
have to have a look. Those were the singers, but the actresses were all just pale and beautiful. The paler you are, the more beauty you have. So growing up, that was always the beauty standard. Stay pale, stay thin, stay pretty.
And eat a lot
So,
and stay skinny
but
while you
but
eat
eat
a
a
lot.
lot and stay
Right,
skinny.
right. You have to be a good eater, quote unquote, but apparently you have to go throw it all up because you can't weigh. What is the thing now where it's like these
Well, nobody
actresses will
throws it
give a
up. That's it.
number?
Uh-huh.
It's
Oh,
like
I'm
you
sorry, I
can't
didn't
be
remember.
over, is it 50 kilograms
Oh, something
or
like that. 48 to 50
40?
kilograms, I think.
Yeah, there's like a number where they go, well, mine starts with a 5 or I'm a 50 or something like that. And I was looking that up.
That's
I'm
so
like, oh
damaging.
my God, it's like 100 pounds. I
Yeah.
didn't weigh 100 pounds when I was 9. Like, anyway, it's just like this number that, you have to be a certain size. And there's a lot of Koreans who aren't. I mean, it's not just like the Westerners who have a hard time with that weight standard. It's unrealistic even for that culture there. And it's like Grace was saying, it just
Well, it's
sort of fosters this idea in you when you're growing up that you're always going to be inferior and you're always going to be fat shamed or whatever.
I'll tell you, growing up, I'd go visit Korea and my family, I was 110 pounds. Now, that was looked upon as very chubby.
And you're
I was
tiny.
chubby. I was 110 pounds, and they'd be like, you need to lose weight. Oh, you're so chubby. Oh, do you really need to eat that extra bowl? But you need to eat it and just lose weight. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm going back home where I'm considered tiny and thin.
Right. And that's the thing,
Thanks,
you can go
America.
in the world and be like a different standard and have a totally different
Totally.
opinion of yourself. And, like you said, you're tiny here. And so it's kind of,
Yeah.
it's hard when a lot of girls get, especially when you're young and impressionable, you get stuck in that there's one beauty standard and there are many, and
Yeah.
you just got to find, your happiness in yourself or your place where you're the top of the beauty standard. Like, go there and feel
So,
better about yourself.
so with that in mind, we know that there's an insane beauty standard and it's not actually, that attainable
Mm.
because all our K-pop idols, they're struggling, they're hungry,
They've had plastic surgery. They've
yeah,
had extreme diets where a lot of these
yeah,
girl groups now, the girls have health issues and they're going out of
and
tours. Like I think one of the members of Twice just backed out of a tour because,
Oh,
yeah. With that
especially
said,
as a young female. Sorry, go ahead, Rachel. Yes.
I'm just saying, with that said, I love my beautiful K-pop boys. I
Same.
love,
girl, don't get me started. Yeah.
Here's the hypocrisy of it all. Us. Yeah.
My
I don't look at those
thing
ugly guys.
is just like, if you want to be an idol, you always know there's going to be baggage with that, but as long as the people you're supporting are being supported by their like teams and crews, because a lot of fan bases also try to put in a lot of effort to make sure their idols are taken care of. The parasocial relationships has been super intriguing to me, honestly, as I've gotten further into the K-pop stan world, because
Mhm.
I don't know, in my opinion, for my generation, there's a pipeline with like East Asia. Some people start off with anime and then it leads to K-pop, or it's vice versa. And then obviously
That was me, actually.
That was Vicky.
That was
oh,
me.
I
Yeah.
see your
Started off with
your
anime.
poster in the
I don't even know if you
background.
can see it. There's my
Yeah.
Inuyasha. That's what I started
Inuyasha.
with. And then I got into J-rock, J-pop, and then I got into
Oh,
K-pop
baby metal.
later.
Yes, it's all a pipeline. It's all a pipeline.
Yeah.
So for the K-pop like culture specifically, with like photo cards and like really getting into the parasocial relationships, I was like,
Mhm.
I don't know. I thought it was so intriguing because so many people my age as well have been kind of doing essays and theses about our relationships with these celebrities and like the comparisons between Western like celebrities and then like also like East Asians like culture. So, but the thing is that all of them root in that, even though people are a little bit more delulu, as we like to say, short for delusional with the relationships with K-pop like idols, it's healthier. And it's interesting to me because, you know, we let ourselves escape kind of not into this fantasy world, but it is like a bit of a fantasy mixed with reality, if you know what I mean.
You
But
buy into the delusion of it. Yeah.
but also it's just so many people are in like of the artists are intentional and the fans, it's like K-pop stans are like intensified Swifties. You know what I mean? They're just on
Yeah.
a level, but it's the same, it's of the same essence.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
Vicky and I were just in Dallas not too long ago at a
Ooh.
concert. I mean, she got me back into K-pop. I got out of it. She got me back into it. Takeoff tour, icon. It
Sorry.
was like the ultimate fangirl experience because
It's
we
the
got so
access, right?
close. Yeah, we had
Mm-hmm.
so much access. We spoke to them. They talked to us. They
It's the fan
pointed us
service.
out. Yeah.
Service is
Um,
so important, I think, for also
yeah.
this because we have like Rihanna, for example, a huge celebrity. She's not doing fan service much with her people
Right.
at all, but like she has enough energy for and like that star quality to just be her own self. But with K-pop like stans and idols, it's completely different because you feel so much more personal with them, especially with
Hmm.
apps like Weverse and like Weverse Live. I don't know, they like JYP has their own, Big Hit has their
Mm-hmm.
own,
Bubble, all
and
that stuff. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels more intimate,
Yeah,
I
you
guess.
chat with them. You talk,
Mm-hmm.
you're chatting with them constantly.
And the
They
fan,
recognize their fans. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, I saw you at. Oh, you're here again. Thanks again for coming." They have meet and greets all the time, so you're actually like seeing them often, and so the access to them is very personalized, and it does make you feel like, okay, I'm standing the right person because
Mm-hmm.
I do think it's
Yeah,
they
it's
love
kind
us.
of like.
oh sorry.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Grace. Go ahead. Go ahead, Grace. No, you're the
I was
guest. You
I
talk.
was just gonna say, I also think it's intriguing though how K-pop, the more widespread it's becoming, is also like allowing the doors to open for like K-R&B and then also just like K-hip hop and all of that. Because my introduction into Korean music in general was mostly from indie artists, I guess you could say. So DPR Live and DPR Ian, I would say, don't fit the K-pop standard. I totally think they're
Mm-hmm.
K-R&B more so with DPR Live. DPR Ian is in his own little realm, but that was my first like introduction into like getting into so like because not everybody can easily dive into the K-pop world. It's really overwhelming, and but also I wanted to be listening to more Korean before I was going up there too. So I have a different approach with it because I'm coming from a aspect of wanting to connect with my culture. But now I've been going to Dallas like every month recently to see a lot more Korean groups that I love who are not as popular, but they're the producers. You know what I mean? And this
Okay,
is
who are they?
music.
List them off.
I love Wave to Earth. I love Se So Nyeon. Hwang So Yoon is the lead singer for Se So Nyeon, and she did a song with RM. And then there's this other group called Balming Tiger. They are really fun and experimental and great. Like all of these artists, besides the fact that they're Korean, they're my favorite, like top 10, like for sure. They are so and they just are Koreans are so intentional, in my opinion. I really love just diving into Korean art and Korean literature in general, just because,
Mm-hmm.
you know, there's so much hardship that Koreans have gone through. So it obviously prompts for a different and beautiful perspective of life that is also bittersweet and accepts the nuances, like in all of it, and puts it in a little bow. And all of these artists, whenever I was going up to Korea, it was just the soundtrack of my life, essentially. And it helped me identify and navigate with how I connect with my mom. All of my mom really likes these artists as well. So it enhances my connection with the culture, with my mom, with everything, with how I process just
Mm-hmm.
all those things. So I'm super
So
appreciative for it.
Vicky went to a few concerts when she was living in Korea. You went to a lot of concerts too when you were in Korea, no?
Yeah, so the people I
It's
had
so
just
easy and cheap.
yeah, in Dallas, the people I'd seen there, I saw in Korea. So I saw DPR Live and Ian in Korea for their finale for the tour that we saw in
Oh, really? It was different. Oh, wait, I remember you saying it was different, right?
way
It was a
different
bigger production.
because it's like this was a stage. This wasn't like a venue. This was like a stadium. It wasn't a huge stadium, but it was a stadium. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And then
I'm jealous. I'm so jealous.
it was so good. And then I also went to there was this thing called the Soul Festa, and it was to attract more foreigners, and it was a bunch of different K-pop groups performing like 2 to 3 songs, maybe one song, within an hour span of time. And the tickets were so cheap. I was like, of course I'm gonna do this. Like it was like, and then you would pay for a ticket, and then you would also get a tour to see Gyeongbokgung. And I did it, and no one else was at the tour, so it was like just me, my friend, and this man talking, and it was perfect. I got my grandparents' name tattooed on the right here. So they're
nice.
And I was like, what side do I put each name on? Because I was like, what does the right or left side represent, feminine or masculine? And when we went there, the palace has a lot of feng shui, and it's really intentional.
Yeah.
The entire palace is like a Lego set. So you can take it apart or put it back together because, they were experiencing a lot of war. So if you had things burned down, you could easily take it down or move it somewhere else. So I thought that was
Watch me learning stuff from Grace, because I had no idea.
I'm telling you, I learned so much. I asked so many questions because I was like, I'm having an individual time with you. Like this was supposed to be with a group of people. I'm going to utilize the situation. But he was explaining feng shui and like how on the right side, it like is when you're looking at the palace, like head on, the right side is when the sun rises, and then like the left side is when it sets. And it was interesting to me because my friend, my housemate and I were feminists, and he was saying the right side represented masculinity and birth, and then the left side represented femininity and death. And I was like, women are what give
Women are the birthers.
Birth, right.
So I was like, what do you, we sat there really confused, but he was like, this is just the Eastern like methodology.
Because the man gives you the seed of life. I don't know.
Yeah, literally.
Man causes death with all their wars. It should still be other way around, but whatever.
Exactly. But that's what helped indicate me, because I was like, if I'm to say that me facing on is always north, it helped me decide what side to put their names on. So it was interesting.
So grandma
thing right
left.
Yeah.
Right.
So Harmony is on the left side, and then Harabunji is on my right side.
Okay. Cool. Sorry, Vicky. What were you saying?
No, that's okay. I was just going like segueing off that sort of. There's definitely a difference between being a K-pop stan in Korea and being a foreign international fan.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
And I think that's one thing that attracts us to that is that access that we don't really have from Western artists, because like you have that intimate relationship. The other thing is, which I found interesting, which I didn't really realize until I got over there, how I was sort of treated as an international fan, because they sort of stand one group. You're loyal to one group, and you're kind of known as a Mon baby or whatever. And it's sort of like your loyalty is in question if you're kind of whoring yourself out to all these other groups. And it's sort of based on like, how long have you been in the fan club? What have you done? Have you gone here? Have you done this? Like, are you part of this community, or have you done these fan cafes, or have you got like the sort of level of what they do there, these birthday cafes. Holy shit. Like I went to like 40 birthday cafes. Like these things are on another level. I mean, I'll have them. When I went Hongdae, there was like 5 in a row next to each other. And you just like, let's see, how do I explain this? It's like for their birthdays, for these individual members of these groups, their fan bases will have a birthday party at these cafes. And you go in and they've taken the whole cafe over, and there's like posters and pictures and balloons and like videos playing, and they have a special set that you go and buy of the coffee and like a macaroon or something. And then you get these pictures and photo cards, and you're trading. And then we just would like, my friend and I, or myself, we would go on these weekends, and you would go to like 20 different, and you'd see the same people. And it was kind of like this pilgrimage, and you'd go to all these different ones and pick stuff up. And like, they have meet and greets. They have, where you go and buy the album, you can get these photo cards and these, oh gosh, I just brain farted, but you have like these special drawings, like you put a coin in a machine, you get special photo cards, and they have all these events. They have fan meetings and they have concerts and they have all this stuff. And if you just stand one group, you could be busy doing all of that all the time and be part of this whole group. And like, it's really intense. And there's music shows and there's all this, all these releases, and some of them go to Japan and blah, blah. And you're over here in the US or, as a foreign fan somewhere else, you might get a tour, you might not. There may be a fan cafe, you might not. And you're kind of sitting here like twiddling your thumbs, waiting for something to happen. So we end up usually picking a bunch of different groups, or, we're used to that anyway, but we'll be fans of different ones. And when they come, we come see them. Or if we now we have more access with the internet where we can watch these TV shows or we can watch whatever and get more into them. But it's kind of like, well, we had to have a couple of different groups or we would have been bored. So it's like it's on a different level there for sure.
I am going to say a baby stan because that is just too overwhelming for me. I can't do all that. I can't do the sticker
It was
cards,
fun.
poster cards, fan cafes. It's too much for me. I can't do it. My brain is just like overload. I mean, even with the groups, like my display says my ultimate is BI. And then I have, you can't read the rest, but it says I have many records. I do have, and then for those who don't know what this means, it's like you have your bias, your ultimate one that you like the most out of just the groups to a member, because you always choose a member that you really like. And then records are the ones that could wreck your bias. But yeah, I have them from different groups, and that's it. I said I'm sticking to just like a handful of groups because I cannot follow anymore. My brain cannot handle it. My emotions cannot, and my bank account can't handle it. Nope.
Oh, it's so expensive to be an international fan, especially.
Oh my God.
Shipped and imported. Like you were saying, being a Western or just being an international fan compared to being like a fan in Korea participating, it's freaking crazy because there's a group called 80s, for example, and my roommate is a really big fan of 80s. So she went to one of their concerts, and this is in Seoul. So obviously this is like home base tour. And after this concert, they had like this fun little I don't know, it was something that was hinting at their next comeback. And like people in Seoul are the only people who get these like things that are around the city that you can go see, and then it's like alluding to a comeback coming. Or if they do a comeback, you can go to these pop-up stores, buy these like your albums there, get your photo cards. If you go on Twitter, you can talk to like international fans because the US has photo card exclusives with like Barnes and Noble, Target, all of that. So fans will like try to trade because fans in Korea can get certain photo cards and then fans in the West can get certain photo cards. And it's so interesting because it's like Pokemon cards at this point because some of them can be sold for so much money. It's crazy.
Rare, And then these fans will buy like they'll do these group orders. This is insane to me too. They'll do these group orders of hundreds or thousands of albums just to get a photo card out of it, and will toss the albums away because they already have the album, which they don't even really use. But to get these photo cards, they will pool their money and buy thousands of albums. And it was actually a big deal in Korea because they would just dump this shit in the dumpsters or in their buildings or whatever. And there's these thousands of albums that no one wants just because I was like, can't you guys just sell the photo card? Because at this point it's this huge waste of just stuff.
Some people do sell the albums for way cheaper. Like I know people in the West specifically, like I've seen like little niches of that on my algorithm of people trying to sell them for a lot cheaper because people in the West are like, I will sell a limb for that just album because they're so much more expensive here. An album here might be $30 to $50. It could be 60 or 70. It depends how much is in this album. But in Korea, it was only like Man1, which is like 10,000 won. Man1 to like Iman1, which is like in USD, that's approximately like $8 to $16. You know, it's a complete.
Grace, I brought half my suitcase. Grace that I brought home was K-pop albums because they were so cheap and I didn't have to pay shipping. I was just like,
it's the shipping that gets you, really.
Yeah, it's the shipping, yeah, for sure. Like even joining the fan club.
Oh, my entire like, carry-on bag was all filled with K-pop albums. Like, I'm telling you, that thing is 50 pounds. I was
Exactly.
And the man was like, okay, I will help you put this up, because I was like, can you please
You
stop?
guys, wait a minute. We're doing
Yes.
a K-pop
Yes.
show. Where is your
Yes.
K-pop merch that you bought? Where is this suitcase full of stuff?
Oh,
Like, where
here's
is it
one
all?
shelf. Oops.
Oh
Sorry,
my
I'm
God.
backwards. Here's some albums. Here's more albums. Here's
All those cups,
more
cup sleeves that you
albums.
got.
My
Oh my
cups. Oh, here's all my
gosh.
cup sleeves.
Love it.
There's these slippers I bought. Here's more. Here's all my light sticks are in here. I've got 4 light sticks. Those were expensive. Could you see any of that? I can't
So,
tell. My camera's
Yeah, we
weird.
could see. I saw
so
it.
Grace, you bought a bunch of albums too. Did you get merch?
Merch, like, my albums were my merch, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm not really one to buy K-pop merch specifically, because it's not my taste. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But I don't know. At Daiso, for example, Daiso's huge in Korea, especially in Seoul. So you could go to Daiso or Artbox, which was like another form of Daiso, but just cutesy, more aesthetic, more expensive.
Stationary kind of stuff. Yeah.
They love their stationery stuff, but you can get so much photo card like equipment. So I started like putting my photo cards in an album, because I was
I was
like,
going to ask you, what do you do with your photo cards?
I put them in
Because
an
So
Vicky will give me photo cards. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? And then I did buy a few albums. Like, what do I do with the posters?
Oh
I
my
don't know
here's
what
some
to
God,
of
do
my
with them.
photo
she's
albums.
on a way different level than I am.
And I'm not even that like much of a like my friend Katya, I love you, in Germany, she's got like,
Ooh.
and she's in Germany, she's got 3 times the amount of stuff that I have. And she's got like rooms full of stuff and like her shelves and she's kind of the one that got me into it, because I thought this was stupid. I'm like, these photo cards are stupid. Like, why would I collect this stuff? Like, I'm not going to look at it. And it's this weird addiction that like once you start, I don't know. It's once you start, you can't seem to stop. And so she got me started. This is how I got, like Rachel's like, she got me back in. She got me into collecting like this kind of stuff. And now I realize I have a disease and I need help and I need therapy. Probably. I need a lot of therapy. It's a good thing I'm poor, because
But this
if I
is
had
therapy
more
for a lot of
disposable
people.
It's retail
But isn't
therapy.
this
Yes.
therapy for people?
I mean, in a way, like this is a healthy way to spend my money. I'm not spending on alcohol or like, I'm not like spending it on unhealthy habits or unhealthy entertainment or whatever. And this brings me happiness. So why not? Like, why
Mhm.
My
not?
children and grandchildren shall be blessed with all of the stuff that I can provide them. Like, I'm gonna be like freaking stacked, because they're gonna understand. Like, I'm making my own big girl money, and I'm absolutely deciding to spend my money on this. I helped you at your event.
Exactly.
Kirby plushie bag. Like, I'm a consumer. And I feel like
Right.
being a part of the LGBTQ, you're gonna be a consumer, because like we are extra. I want the accessories. I want it all. Like, even if the photo card can be an accessory, I can just have Jimin
For
with
sure.
like being like, I love it. It's so good.
Yeah, and
Right. So
too, just meeting people like you guys met, your friends now. Like I met my friend Katya. I had Rachel knows this story, but my life was literally saved by the K-pop community in Korea during the pandemic, because
Absolutely.
I was under quarantine and my work visa through my company was shit. They
this was the
basically dumped
first
me in
time
my
she went.
apartment and they left me. Yeah, they left me there to survive on my own without any help. And I had no food. I had no way to leave. I had nothing in my apartment. I had no way to clean this
But this
filthy,
was the
stinky place they
heart
put
of
me in.
pandemic. Let's talk about that. It was March.
Yeah,
You went
yeah.
in March when 2020.
I went in 2020 March,
Like, yeah.
and it was lockdown, and foreigners were not, looked at favorably at the time anyway. So I really wasn't going to leave my apartment, but I wasn't allowed to leave my apartment.
In Korea?
And in
In
Korea,
nobody.
in
It was
Seoul.
pandemic in Seoul, 2020, March 20. It was
I
the
didn't know
height.
you were like there during the pandemic, because I was
You went
there
twice.
when
The
they
first
were
time,
just lifting
yeah.
up the mask mandate. Like, that's when I was there. That's crazy.
Yeah.
She went after
The
too.
second
She went right
time,
before you.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So this was the
But the
first
first time
time
I
you
went,
went.
I was under quarantine when I got there. And my boss basically was like, oh, well, see you in 2 weeks, and kind of left. And I was like, I can't leave this apartment. Like, how am I supposed to get food or like necessities or anything? And he's like, oh, well, just leave your phone in the apartment. You can go to the convenience store downstairs and no one will know. Well, that was illegal at the time. It could have got me deported, but that's a whole other story. Anyway, so I was really upset. Rachel knows. I was like, I'm going to die in this apartment. And one of my Hennessy ladies, I was originally in this group called SS501, which, Grace, is way before your time. But one of their singers has his own solo group now. And the lady knew I was going, and she sent me a text, and she's like, hey, how's it going? Are you there? Are you okay? And I was like, oh my God. And I like just vented to her, and she's like, I got you. And so she contacted Hennessy in Korea. And the next thing I know, I'm getting texts from these ladies. What do you need? They're sending me groceries from online, like from Curly Market. They sent me the next day. I got giant boxes, like 4 feet tall, full of cleaning supplies. And someone gave me a full set of dishes and shampoo. And they gave me like 5 boxes of kimchi to fill in my fridge. And like,
what do I do with all this kimchi? I don't have enough room. I like freeze the kimchi.
Yeah, and they didn't know me. They just knew me as part of Hennessy, and they sent thousands of dollars worth of stuff to help me live through this pandemic. And it was just like, wow, that was the ultimate sort of expression of the goodness that can come out of these friendships that you build through K-pop. That you don't even know these people, and yet they're willing to do that for you. It was pretty special. So
yeah, it's a community of people.
Exactly.
That are like, I think the beauty of K-pop stands is like, it's just a bunch of divine feminine energy. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a bunch of women who are very extra and make life fun living for themselves. Like, you just have to find.
It's not all women. There's
totally, like, but I'm saying divine femininity doesn't always have to come from women either. It comes from men too, as long as
from everyone, yeah.
And then also, like, us as women, we have our own masculine energy too. But I just think overall it's a very safe space. All of these groups, like your idols, they work so hard to entertain us, and the fans are very aware of that. And I think all of us have dealt with things all over the emotional spectrum, because a lot of fans, during the pandemic, a lot of people found the like K-pop, and they were at a really dark time emotionally. And K-pop Korea go through ups and downs mentally as well, just from the culture and the industry that they're in. So I think it also allows the fans to empathize more, because we're all kind of understanding that we're all human. But obviously there's a balance to everything, because there are toxic stans and then there's really positive people. But that's just the world, the duality that we live in. But if you find yourself in the healthier area, you get such great relationships. Like my roommate and housemate that I had in Korea, I had a total of 3 roommates, but my first and second roommate I had for the longest amount of time. My third roommate was just for like a week or so. And the second roommate I had, Camille, and then my housemate, Alice. I mean, all of us started bonding like so much over this. And like I got more into K-pop, so they were also kind of helping to guide me. And a cool thing that I did with my roommate Camille was that there's a part of Seoul, which is the Digital Media Center, which is where they film everything. And they had this thing called Idol Radio, and the hosts for it were AT's members. And it was Hongjong and Yuno, and you just get to sit outside. There's like a glass separate
to the window. Yeah.
Your idols, and it's like crazy, because they like idols don't feel like an entity that's unreachable in Korea. Like you can run into them so easily, because Seoul is so tiny, and they have all of this shit to do and go to and participate in. So I think that's another reason why those relationships feel even deeper, because they're interacting with fans not just digitally but physically, and are acknowledging them. It's not like they are
100%.
just like vision like this.
Listen, I am waiting to even see VI through a glass. Anything VI, I am waiting for you. And I hate him so much, because I love him so much. That I hate him. I'm like, I can't do work if I'm going to listen to your new albums. I can't do it, because he's so freaking talented and pretty. And I'm like, why are you so pretty? It makes me angry.
Ooh, also okay, at least for as a Gen Z perspective, I grow up and like I have grown up with just like the internet. So getting onto like the K-pop side of the algorithm on my TikTok and everything is so interesting because also as a bisexual woman, everybody in the K-pop industry is just like a gorgeous entity. You know what I mean? Like they have the
Right, they're
perfect
very androgynous.
androgynous.
Sometimes.
So
Hmm.
a lot of people who are like identify with like being queer and whatnot also that's why I think that's also a pipeline into being a K-pop stan just because you're witnessing all of these crazy concepts like idols are breaking gender norms, you know what I mean, and they're just gorgeous individuals. Like I can't even say they're inherently masculine or feminine, they're just
No.
androgynous. And
Yeah.
it's so I gender envy them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Listen, I got
It's
to see my
interesting too
K-pop
because
wife, right? Sorry.
no,
No,
go
I was
ahead, go
just
ahead.
saying
Go ahead,
when
Rachel.
we were in Dallas, BI is I call him my K-pop husband, and then
Yeah.
there's my K-pop wife, and we got to see him at the concert, and he was right like up in my face. I mean, he sang to Vicky and I, so because she had a face sign, he grabbed her sign and sang to us, and I was like, "That's my wifey right there." He's so, and with his makeup, he's just so pretty.
Yeah. And he's her wife because he's really good at cooking and he's very domestic and
Cleans and
it's
takes
kind
care
of
of
like you can
everything.
be that, yeah, you can sort of be that feminine energy as a male there and it's not looked down upon. You can wear the makeup, it's not girly, you're not you're not being called any kind of like, I don't want to use those slang terms
You're
that we
not
use here,
being
but you're
like
not being
you're masculine. You're not
Yep.
being emasculated while putting on the makeup.
right. There's that toxic masculinity that we have here is not applied there. And it's interesting because they're so anti, you can't be gay there. You can't be open. There's only one open K-pop stan for Holland. Is the only one who's out, and you can't be gay there. But you can. But a lot of the stuff they do is so overtly homosexual that it's like Korea, make it make sense. Like you know what I mean,
I'm
right,
a sucker
Grace? Like it's
for a
like
veto. I love a boy's love. I'm sorry. Like I
Mm.
know
yeah,
like
exactly,
it's not
exactly.
everybody's thing, but it's also another thing because like ATs, this is just my example group right now, but there's two members, Young and San, and the fandom is very aware that they're very boyfriendy to each other, you know what I mean? And that's another thing that gravitates the people, because fans kind of love seeing that,
Mhm.
They have their ships, right? Should we explain what that
Yeah.
means? You ship these couples within groups, male members that are like couples together, and there's fanfic about them. There's fans that just
Oh,
love
we
them
love the
together.
fanfic. This
Yeah,
is
there's these,
So,
all that kind of stuff. It's interesting, but there's no way they could come out. They could never come out because that would be the end of their career.
the only area in Seoul like that you can, I feel like, truly express yourself is Itaewon because that has a big trans
Itaewon.
community over there.
Yeah,
And
but
then
Holland got beat up in Itaewon, so it's
I
still
mean, of course, like
it's
it's not
still
everywhere is going to be safe with doing that, but that is probably one of the safer spots. And then I'd also say,
yeah.
ironically, Hongdae, just because there's a lot of young people there, like the younger
Hongdae.
generation is
Mhm.
a lot more open-minded. It's really okay. Going to Korea right now is super intriguing to me because I value all perspectives. Like I appreciate we are 90-year-old harmonies that are still walking up these freaking mountains with a bag, and I'm like, how are you doing this? It's literally 90 degrees and humid outside. I feel like you're gonna have a stroke. It's so stressful for me to witness them do that. But I admire them, they're just such hard workers. And then also you have to look at the youth in any like society that you're in, because that's where the free thinking is coming from, and that's where the like invention and innovation is coming from. But for Korea, it's just intriguing because there's a huge gap right now in morals with like how the old generation perceives like more, what's the right word, because they grew up with Confucianism, like if they grew up completely different than how this new generation wants to be, that's exposed to the Western world a lot more. And it's kind of interesting because a lot of
so I'm going to interrupt and hold that thought. I want you guys to join us on the after show if you want to hear more. But we are done, unfortunately, for today on social intercourse.
Oh,
Join us
But
right away.
come to the after
Come
show. Yes,
back.
we'll talk
Come
more.
back, and we'll finish Grace's thought if you guys are like, dun dun dun, cliffhanger.